to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel.
Understand that the only one really who's caring about you and your future is God.
Ready to be inspired and motivated to live a high impact life. Now, here's Rick.
Welcome to the Point of Impact podcast. I'm Rick McDaniel. Great to have you joining us again today. And we are going to talk about a very interesting subject of being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I'll tell you more about that in just a moment. 10 ways that you can be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Sort of tell you how this came about and give you those 10 ways in just a moment. But before I do, I have been recommending, unusually, for various people who contact me from various sources in various ways, I have been recommending different plans that I have on the Bible app. Now, the YouVersion Bible app is the largest Bible app in the world, but it's actually one of the largest apps of any kind in the world, over 1 billion with a B downloads. And I was with them in Oklahoma City last fall when they had the big celebration. I have 10 plans that are on the YouVersion Bible app, and I've just been recommending different ones to different people for different reasons. And I thought, I should make sure and tell my audience here, the Point of Impact audience, about that. And I've talked about it many times before, but there's always new people listening. So, and maybe you've heard it before, but you never did anything. You're like, yeah, now I really need to do one. So just real quick, there's 10 different ones. So that's a lot to choose from. They're all 5 days. So you can do them in a week, and they'll take you all of about 3 minutes to read. It's free. Don't have to pay any money for it. And the one that I've been recommending to people during this Lenten season leading up to Easter is the 5 Ways of Jesus. So if you want to learn more about Jesus and understand him better, then the 5 Ways of Jesus, Jesus is friend, Jesus is teacher, Jesus is Savior, that you'll get the idea. So that's one that's great for Lent. The one that has been listened to by more people than any of the 10 is one called Mindset Matters. So if you want to get more positive and optimistic thinking going on in your mind and the way you think and change your mindset, that one is super popular, and I couldn't recommend it highly enough. The one that is the most recent that I've done is called Power Up. And that is how to get more of God's power in your life. That has been very popular as well. It kind of shot up when it got released. So that's a good one. Greater is one that I love because it comes from my latest book, Greater. So how to live the greater life. So fantastic. But there's all kinds of ones. Like I said, there's 10 of them, so they run the gamut. Some of them are based, like This Is Living, it's based on that book, and Greater, and then some of them are like Believe, which is one that is about faith, and Spiritual, which is one about like the Holy Spirit and spiritual things, and Best Life, which is another great one, how to live your best life. So there's all kinds of ones for, again, all kinds of topics and all kinds of themes, but I really, really think you will enjoy them. All you have to do is just type my name in, and then they should all come up for you. You should be able to see all 10 of them. So I would take advantage of it. Again, if you read one, start on a Monday, right? Start on Monday, and by Friday, you'll have completed it. So it's really easy to do. It's free. It's a powerful way to start your day. You'll have a great week, and you'll be so inspired and encouraged. So I highly encourage you to take advantage of it. So just had a lot of people asking me about it lately, and I thought I should share that with you. All right, so let me tell you how this episode came about. I've been coaching this business owner, executive, and we've been talking on a lot of different things, and then he kind of did this exercise and wrote down strengths and weaknesses and various things. And one of the things that just jumped out at me is when he said, I am uncomfortable being uncomfortable. And the reason that jumped out at me is because one of my phrases that I've used over the years, many times, is about becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think that is an absolute success principle, becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. And he's like, I'm uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I thought, I should do an episode. I've used that phrase many times through the years, but I never devoted an episode to saying, well, how do you do that? What are some ways you can be comfortable being uncomfortable? Like, how do you actually do it practically? And because this podcast is all about practical stuff that you can put into practice in your life, that's what I'm all about. So it's 10 steps for this, and it's 10 ways to do that. And it's just what I want to do for you, is to not just say, hey, you should do that, but show you exactly how to do it. Just show you how you can do it. So I want to be able to do that in this episode today, is not just say, hey, you need to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, but actually walk you through what that looks like. Now, a couple of other things that I think are kind of interesting. One is, those of you that have been listening know that my motto for this year is do hard things. And you can obviously see the connection between comfortable with uncomfortable and doing hard things. I mean, those are analogous sort of concepts. Slightly different, and also because being comfortable with uncomfortable, as you'll see now, is much larger, say, than just do the hard thing. That'll be one of the ways, obviously. We'll get to that in just a second. But I couldn't help but think, man, within this motto that I'm living by this year, it would be so easy to simply go down this path. Another is just, doing more and more research about this whole hard things and why people don't do hard things and why they should. And just especially seeing like how we get so tied to these devices that we have now and how they've so fundamentally changed our lives. And here's the thing, and changed our brains. No joke. Like, changed our brains, which is kind of incredible. So like puzzles and Sudoku and long novels and board games and documentaries, these function as kind of like resistance training for our prefrontal cortex. They require sustained effort without sort of an algorithmic reward that you would get with social media. So in other words, those of you, there's so many people that are just zooming through videos, reels and videos, and it's TikTok and it's Facebook and it's Instagram, and you're just watching all this stuff. What you're doing is you're training your brain in a way that makes hard things really uncomfortable for you. So again, doing things like I just mentioned, the reading and the puzzles and the long form of video or documentary, this is kind of like the resistance training to try to recalibrate and reprogram your brain. So for instance, the discomfort that you may feel like 10 minutes into a book after heavy scrolling, okay, is very much like the discomfort you'd feel in the gym, on rep 8 when you're trying to knock out, 8 really tough reps, and it's very difficult. So we have to go through this discomfort to kind of adapt properly and get our brains thinking in the right way, the way that they should be thinking. And it's not an easy thing to do. It's uncomfortable because we've gotten so comfortable with all of this social media stuff. So this is kind of what we're up against, and it makes it even harder than maybe it would normally be to be able to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. But that having been said, this is a success principle. Absolute. This is where growth happens. This is where progress happens, when you are able to be comfortable being uncomfortable. So how do you do it? Like, what are some ways? All right. So here we go. The first thing I would say is Scared, afraid means you're actually ready. So if you're scared, it's good. Are you nervous? Good. Anxiety. Oh, I have an anxiety. Anxiety is excitement without breathing. I mean, yeah. Like you're anxious. So what? That means it's time. Like it's time to do it. It's not time to back down. It's time to do the thing that scares you. On the other side of fear is your God-given destiny. Throughout the Bible, we're constantly told to be bold, to be courageous, to not be fearful, to not be afraid. This is how you make progress in your life. This is how you take new territory. This is how you succeed. This is how you move forward, is not being afraid and holding back, but courage really is not the absence of fear, right? It's having the fear, but choosing to act in spite of the fear. And that's what you have to be able to do. So these things that you think are, big barriers or big obstacles or things that are too big for you, what I want to say to you is these are the very things that you need to take on. That's where you're going to see progress. That is where you're going to see victory. That is where you're going to take your life to another level from where it is today, is by saying to yourself, I'm ready. I am scared, but I'm ready. It's a big step, but I can do it. Just take a deep breath and be like, I'm taking the leap. I'm going for it. I'm going to do it, because on the other side of what I'm feeling now is all of the great future that I want to have with my life. All right, now watch. Here we go. Number 2, do the hard thing. Yes, do the hard thing. Do the hard thing. I've been doing it now since the beginning of the year. In fact, my initial first 5 hard things, I've done all of them. You have to do it. And I was just reading about how one of the things that people are trying instead of the cold plunge, which is what I did, because, there can be an expense involved depending on how you do it. And do you have the tub and do you buy it and blah, blah, blah. And even I know people that have bought the things and put it in their house and had the electrician come in and, have to do wiring in order to keep it cold. Or do you do like I do and just dump the ice in? But much simpler thing is, after you've done with your shower, turn it on ice cold for a minute and endure that discomfort of freezing cold water for a minute. And the idea is you're really telling your brain, I'm in control here. We're not going to back down. I'm not going to let my discomfort be the answer. Just do it anyway. So that's just a good exercise. Now, do the hard thing. Yeah, like make the call. Have the meeting. Confront what needs to be confronted. Send the email. Do these hard things that need to be done. Take action. Action is like, resistance, muscle, back to the gym. Like you build strength by taking action when you are dealing with the resistance to that. So just do the hard thing that you're uncomfortable doing, that you don't want to do, but do it anyway. And again, there are things like I mentioned again in the initial 5, the cold plunge. Another one was the organizing and of my office and everything. And that was the last thing that got done, because that thing was just such a pain and didn't want to do it, but finally knocked it out. And I'm sitting here now, and I mean, it is very nice. There is no mess of any type whatsoever. It is pristine. All my books and everything else is organized, and it's a marvelous space to work in because there's nothing cluttering it up whatsoever. But whatever the hard thing is, do it. All right. 3rd, know that you're unique. Okay? And that is okay, by the way. Like, in other words, so many people, I just had this discussion with someone this morning, spend too much time caring about what other people think. Just like, stop doing that. You're unique. You know, you can use words like different or weird if you want, you know, your version of crazy, whatever. You know, you're you. Embrace it. It's like, this is who you are. So it actually, you know, your uniqueness is really your like your strength. It's what sets you apart. So stop trying to blend in because being you is somehow, you know, uncomfortable. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, purposely doing stuff weird just to be weird. And I could name 5 things right off the top of my head that I think are that, and probably tick off all kinds of people by saying it. But I mean, I just think there are people that do things for attention and for weirdness and all this sort of stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about who you are, you know, not these outward surfacey things, but just like, you know, who you are at your core. And you don't have to be, if you're an introvert, that's fine. You don't have to be an extrovert, you know, like it's okay. And whatever it is about you, that's who you are, and be comfortable with that. Okay? All right. Very practical. Wake up an hour earlier. I mean, bottom line, like, get up earlier. And you're like, I don't want to do that. Like, I want to sleep. And everybody who's successful gets up earlier. I mean, 5 o'clock is really, in my mind, that's the, when I talk to people who are successful, it's the most common time to rise. That, and I mean, I'm not talking about a handful of people. I'm talking about many people. If you want to know the hour to get up to be successful, it's 5 o'clock. So if an hour earlier is still like 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock for you, I mean, can't believe it could be 7, but yeah, I think a lot of people, you know, would like to try to get up at 7, right? And, you know, and so the 6 seems really early, but I'm telling you, mornings are powerful. They're the most quiet time, the least distraction. It's the time to work on the things that can drastically change the trajectory of your life. I'm telling you, I have gotten almost all of my best ideas in the early morning hours, talking to God. God just drops these thoughts in my mind. It's absolutely the way to go. And I'm telling you, if you'll just get out of bed earlier, like if you're not happy with your current situation, didn't deal with the uncomfortable aspect of getting up earlier than you want to get up. Okay, here's another one. Understand that God cares about you, but, not many other people do. And here's what I'm trying to get at. Like, people are wrapped up in their own life. So many of us think that other people are sitting around, thinking about us. I mean, it's just not true. The people are wrapped up. I'm telling you, I've learned this lesson. It's so true. So, God cares about you and your future, and that's really good. But get over, this thing about other people and complaining about them, and you're just getting in your way. Don't be your biggest bottleneck, because you're in your head with this whole thing, about what other people think. They're not thinking about you like you think they are. They're not wrapped up. Everyone's wrapped up in them and their stuff. So just really understand that. Understand that the only one really who's caring about you and your future is God. God loves you. God wants to help you, and He has a marvelous plan for your life. And that's where your focus needs to be. And don't allow yourself to get off track and just get involved in your mind with these things. Just be comfortable in God cares about you, and don't worry about this other stuff. All right, another one is that you got to realize life goes by fast. Like, life goes by fast. I mean, just take it from a guy who's lived a little bit of life now. I mean, it goes by. Like, you're single, and then you're married, and then you have kids, and then your kids are out of the house, and it's like, what? When did that all happen? I mean, you don't have as much time as you think. And if you're younger, I know you're thinking, I got a lot of time. Yeah, but not as much as you realize, because it will go faster than you think. You've got to be ruthless, really, in saying no to distractions. No to things that are not in your vision for your life. You've got to double down on, what is most important to you. And that's got to be a daily thing where, you say, hey, I've got to be focused. And the thing is that, again, comfortable being uncomfortable, because it is uncomfortable to tell people no. It is, people don't like to hear it. And it's not something you want to say, but sometimes you just have to say it. You just have to, because otherwise you're going to be pushed around by other people's agendas and opinions and wants and expectations and all these things. And at the end of the day, what's really going to happen is you are not going to become the person that you want to become. And you are not going to experience the success that you want to experience. And it's because you were just too uncomfortable, right? With it. And so you got to be comfortable with that, with being able to just say, life's moving fast. I don't have time to waste. All right. Mute the mob. This is my next one. Mute the mob. Like, put it on mute. The average person, right? They're on the lazier side. They're on the mediocre side. They're on the average side. The average person is overweight or obese. The average person eats terribly. And that's just the truth. I'm not trying to pick on anyone, put anyone down. I'm just saying these are the facts. The average person's not financially secure. I mean, this is it. I mean, this is the truth. So why would you listen to the mob? Who cares what these people think? These are not the people that you should be listening to or focusing on. I mean, mediocrity loves company, right? I mean, let's face it, excellence is a lonely place. Yeah. Lonely at the top. But I mean, if that's where you want to be, then you have to accept that and just mute out these voices of people that just do not matter to you at all. But again, it's about being comfortable with the fact that you're going to have the average majority voices of people maybe telling you things, criticizing, commenting on whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter what these people think. All right, here's another. Understand nothing changes if you don't raise the bar. Like, the bar you set determines the life you build. It's the bar you set. It's, if you're okay with, just struggling financially and not being healthy and being without meaning and purpose and not connected with God, if these things are okay with you, then that's the way you're going to live your life, and it's not going to be a life of impact and success. It just isn't. If you accept nothing but the best, you're going to get it. You get what you tolerate in life. Man, I believe that with all my heart, and I've given that advice to many, many people. I can think of one person I told and really changed their life. You get what you tolerate. So that's what you have to understand about the bar, I'm not going to be around energy phantoms that are just going to take away all the energy. I'm not going to be around negative people and negativity. I'm not doing that. I'm raising the bar, and this is where I'm going to live, and that's how I'm going to become successful. All right. Believe you can do it. Just have to believe it. Becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. People who may not be as talented as you, and maybe not as smart as you, and yet they've accomplished stuff more impressive than you have so far. So far they have, but that can change if you believe you can do it. Accept who you are, flaws and all, we all have them, and just get after it. Get after it. You are capable of doing the thing that you feel is out of reach. And the way you're going to do it is becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you don't do that, then you're not going to do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. But you have to believe that. And you have to be willing to become uncomfortable in the pursuit of it. It's not going to always be comfortable. But if you will be willing to become uncomfortable, it'll happen. And here we go. 10th one. Know that commitment beats talent every time. In the course of my life, I founded 7 different organizations. I founded a church, 3 campuses, a preschool, an after-school academy, and a nonprofit. 7 different things. It took an enormous amount of work and huge, huge commitment. I had to work in the beginning days, just 80, 90 hour a week. That's it. Those are the weeks. Just going after it. Never really had a day off. Just getting up early, staying up late. Just how can I grow this organization? How can I make it more successful, more impactful? That's it. You just have to be committed. I've said this before many times. Maybe you've heard me say it. Maybe you haven't. Successful people are just ordinary people who make commitments others are unwilling to make. Successful people are just ordinary people who make commitments others are unwilling to make. Okay, you have to make the commitment. It's the commitment. And when you do that, then you can see incredible impact. You know that what I run now is called High Impact Living, and I'm all about high impact. I'm all about making a big impact, a high impact, a great impact. And it's happened in my life in many different ways. The 7 organizations, the 9 books that have been written, the 45 countries in 50 states, and speaking and writing and media and all this stuff. Not because I'm so much more talented, but because I've cared so much and I've been willing to commit myself to it. And that's what you have to be willing to do. Whatever it takes, and whatever it takes, let's just finally say it once and for all. Whatever it takes will definitely, positively include you being uncomfortable with some things that you're called to do, must do, are required to do in order to see your dreams become a reality. So the best thing you can do is become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And these are 10 ways you can do it. And I'm telling you what, friends, if you will put these things into practice in your life, you will see things happen that you have not seen happen before. That I guarantee that'll take place in your life. So don't say I'm uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Say I am comfortable with being uncomfortable, and go after it. Have a great week.
You've been listening to the Point of Impact podcast with Rick McDaniel. Thanks for tuning in, and we look forward to you joining us for our next episode.